dear listeners, by your requests, we want to make changes to the voice of the stories. Your opinion is important for us to improve the content. Please leave your comments. Have a nice watch. I remember school time when we had an open lesson and the guys from the local fire brigade came to us. They talked about safety, but most of all I was interested in their life stories. And for me, they seemed like heroes and I dreamed of becoming a fireman. And my dream came true. Fire is a dangerous element. I understood this better than anyone. But at the same time, I was not afraid. I shouldn't have been afraid because it's not uncommon for human lives to be at stake. In our team, everyone had to clearly perform a responsible task. The life of us all hung from everyone. These guys have become a real family for me because I lost my parents early. The work was dangerous and unpredictable, but I enjoyed it. I felt like I was in the right place. I was surrounded by good and loyal friends, but I just wanted to start a real family with a bunch of kids and a beautiful wife. But I had a crazy schedule and risky work. Thought every girl would agree to live in this. But my loneliness was not eternal. Once I was lucky to meet Linda, a beautiful blue-eyed blonde I met at a friend's wedding. Linda was a bridesmaid. This evening brought us closer. I'm sorry, is your name Adam, right? Linda came up to me. Yes, that's right. And you must be Linda, the bridesmaid, right? I answered.
Yes, that's right, Adam. Can I have this dance?
Certainly. I noticed that you are here alone. A festive atmosphere around, and you're somehow not cheerful.
Yes, you're right. I always behave awkwardly at such events.
It's not awkward at all.
It's just that I don't know anyone here really, only the bride and groom.
So can we help each other? Shall we? Brighten up this evening. Linda, I'm all for it. I liked this evening more and more. Linda was funny. We chatted non-stop. After the wedding, we continued to communicate, and our communication grew into a series of dates. I was extremely happy. I fell in love with Linda like a boy and felt that I could live with her all my life. And now we have been married for over 15 years. We had 2 wonderful children, Michael and Sarah. I finally got what I dreamed of since childhood. But our relationship was not all smooth sailing. Linda has changed over time. She was no longer the cheerful girl I met at the wedding. Linda has grown into a rather grouchy woman. Whether it was raising children or my irregular work schedule, it affected her, but I could see that something was wrong with her. Honey, I'm very worried about you. Are you all right? I asked Linda. Yes, Adam, everything is fine. It's just that you behave so strangely. You don't communicate much with children. You constantly go somewhere. We haven't spent time together in a long time. Adam, listen. I don't bother you with my questions, so don't bother me. With what questions? Why are you crazy? I was in perfect order until you started to interrogate me here. You are constantly not at home, and the children are already sick of me. You never learned how to make money. You're always sitting by the fire station to no avail. So don't tell me what's weird and what's not. Linda, calm down. Obviously, you were not so interested in money, but we already live not badly. You may be fine, but I clearly want more. Such conversations happen more and more often between us. I tried to get along with Linda, but she didn't want to listen to me. I thought that this was all temporary, just a difficult period in a relationship. And probably many families are faced with this. The main thing is not to give up, and then everything will be fine. I love Linda immensely, despite her capricious behavior. And I resolutely tried to save our family, no matter what. I was on shift. There was an alarm. There was a fire signal, and it was necessary to immediately go to the site. The team quickly gathered, and soon we reached the place where there was a fire. It was a small, abandoned house. No one was supposed to be inside, but through the seething flames, I heard a child crying. "Jason, do you hear it?" I asked my partner. "Yes, it looks like there's a baby inside." So guys, pour some water over the entrance, and I went in front. "No, Adam, it's too dangerous. Let's go for insurance." "No, guys, there is not enough space. We'll have nowhere to turn around. It will be much faster if I do it myself. If something goes wrong, then you already pull yourself up. Everything less talk." I shouted and burst into the house engulfed in flames. I was in special protective clothing, but it was still unbearably hot. See, the fire, like an insatiable, terrible beast, tried to eat this house as soon as possible. Children's crying came from the second floor. I assessed the situation. But the roof and supports still had to bear the weight of the burning house. It shouldn't have collapsed yet. I ran up the stairs to the second floor and ran into the room. There was almost nothing to see here. I focused on sound. I went to a pile of some things. Children's crying came from here. I scattered things and saw a tape recorder playing a recording of a child's crying. I was at a loss. Just as I was about to leave the house, there was a huge explosion. I was thrown into a corner and covered with beams. There was a wild ringing in my head. I was severely shell-shocked. I didn't know where I was or what happened to me. The oxygen mask was damaged. Acrid smoke filled my lungs, and I began to choke with a wild cough. Then everything went dark around me, and I just passed out. I was awakened by the sound of a medical machine monitoring my pulse. I opened my eyes and white light began to cut through my pupils. A doctor entered the room, then a frightened wife with children ran in. "Hi, how are you? How do you feel?" Conceptibillion asked me. "Yes, everything is in order, Linda. I will live." "In what order?" "At your bedridden in the hospital. I was so worried about you. When they told me what happened, I was just in shock. Looks almost lost consciousness." "All right, Linda, calm down. Everything is fine. I'm alive and everything will be all right." When I came to my senses, I was haunted by that case. We came up with the idea to do this. And what could explode there? It was an old abandoned house. Maybe, of course, the homeless brought a gas cylinder. I was at a loss. A little later, I was contacted by the detective who handled this case. "Adam, good afternoon. This is Michael, handling that fire. Listen, I have some news. I wanted to talk to you personally. Can you drive to the precinct?" "Yes, Michael, no problem." "Did you find something? Not on the phone?" "Adam, echoing for you. Who called?"
Linda asked worriedly. Yes, this is the detective who is on the case of that fire. You need to go to the station. Talk to him. Some new details have surfaced.
I don't understand why the police are taking this so seriously. It was a fire in an abandoned house. Who knows who could bring a tape recorder and explosive materials there?
Linda replied with a puzzled look.
Yes, it is quite possible that this is all an absurd accident, but the police know better. Look, go to them and ask them to disturb us less. I want to forget that terrible incident as soon as possible. Okay, Linda, I'll definitely tell you. And so I arrived at the police station. Oh, yeah. Michael, can I come in? I knocked on the detective's office door. Yes, Adam, come in, sit down. Well, don't languish, tell me already. What do you know? Oh, at the site of the explosion, we found the details of an explosive device. Tom, this is no accident. They obviously wanted to kill you or someone from your team and set everything up like an accident at work. Who needs it? Personally, I definitely didn't do anything bad to anyone. Yes, and I know my guys very well. They all live without unnecessary temptations of fate, except for dangerous work. I don't know, Adam. I don't know. Let's figure it out, and you think carefully. Perhaps this is still someone from your environment. Take a closer look at everyone. Not to the killer, of course. We'll try not to give himself away, but perhaps you will notice something. I would ask you not to disclose the details of the investigation to anyone. Believe me, it is in your own interests. I returned home, completely confused. I couldn't even think of anyone. I was greeted at home by an anxious Linda. Well, Adam, she asked, did you find out something? Any news? Linda started asking me questions right from the door. Honey, what kind of questions? I replied, let me at least take off my jacket and shoes. Yes, of course, I'm sorry. So, are they suspecting someone? Did they find something in that fire? Queemza asked. I replied, why does it bother you at all? It's just a freak accident. So why such an interest? Linda asked. Adam, I'm just worried. I also begin to doubt. But if I'm wrong, Linda's voice sharpened. It's clear, I said. Well, don't worry. I talked to the detective. He, of course, said that I should not tell anyone the details of the investigation. I don't know if I can trust you now, I joked. Oh, you're an asshole. Linda laughed. Puigstein. In general, it's really not all that fun, as it turns out. And found the remains of an explosive device. The detective said, actions. It was a planned action, but who needed it? I asked. I cannot understand this. Indeed, very strange, Linda said with a thoughtful, pale face. Linda, are you all right? I asked. Yes, Adam, everything is fine, just a little nervous, Linda replied. Linda worried me a lot. She behaved very strangely. I did not like her behavior much, as if she was not herself. In the evening, I joined the night shift. Linda stayed at home. The children went to their grandparents. In the evening, we had to overtake one of the fire trucks for repairs. I went with a partner. I was driving. Suddenly, on one of the streets, I noticed Linda's car. She was going somewhere, although she said she would stay at home. I tried to call her, but she didn't pick up the phone. I felt something was wrong. I turned around at the intersection and followed her. "Where are you going?" my partner asked. "Sorry, Chris," I said. "I need to sort something out." "It won't take long." Linda stopped near some private house. A man I didn't know came out to meet her and took her to his home. I stopped nearby. "Chris, sit in the car," I said. "I'll be right back." I got out of the car and walked towards that house. The windows here were not high. You could see what was happening inside. There was a half-open window in the backyard where I saw Linda and this guy. You could stand and watch from a distance. Except they wouldn't notice me. But it was completely inaudible what they were talking about. I crept right under the window. In order not to stand close to the window, I carefully put my phone with video recording turned on through the half-open window, so they would definitely not notice me, and I could record what was happening inside on video and still hear their conversation.
Linda, the guy asked, "Why are you so scared?"
I don't understand how he survived. He should have been torn to shreds. And now, what can I do? How can I get my inheritance now? Adam doesn't know anything yet. I didn't show him the letter from his distant relatives. They left him a decent amount of wealth in his will. Adam didn't deserve it. I have to manage it all. I will send my children to a paid school and I will live for my own pleasure. But I can't do that because you miscalculated. Well, Linda, don't worry. May they know nothing more, and your stupid husband would never guess. So come to me. I know a great way to relieve stress. Come here. I heard moans. This bastard was undressing my wife. An explosive mixture of shock, anger, and confusion boiled inside me. This creature wanted to kill me for some inheritance and fucked with some ghoul who wanted to kill me. I jumped up and ran to the fire truck. "Chris, start the car." "What?" "Start the car and drive up to that house quickly." "What's happening?" "Then I'll explain. Drive up and call the police." Chris drove up to the house. I turned on the pumps, connected the hose, and ran to the front door of the house. I kicked out the door with my foot and quickly went to the room where my wife was fucking this bastard. I kicked down the door to the room. "Adam, what are you doing here?" asked a frightened naked Linda. "I'm doing wet cleaning." "You're the last bitch," I shouted and turned on the hose. Water under great pressure carried these bastards out of bed. But I did not stop there. I sent a jet of high pressure one more time in their direction, and they were thrown out into the street, breaking the window. These bastards groaned from injury, but they were alive. "Oh, you shameless bitch, because of some money you decided to kill your husband." Although, no, I have no excuse for such a base creature as you. "Where are you going, you bastard?" I shouted in the direction of a man who was trying to crawl away. I ran up and kicked him in the jaw. Thus, the police quickly arrived and arrested everyone, but soon everything fell into place, thanks to the video I recorded on the phone. It was a sincere confession of these bastards, and they had a far from bright future for attempted murder, fraud, and other things. The children were shocked by how their impudent mother behaved in court, cursing both them and me. But it did not help her. The cell in prison was already waiting for her. I received an inheritance. It really was big money. So I had a secure future with my children, which helped me forget all this horror. Dear listeners, your support is very important to us. If you like our story, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very motivating for us. We need your feedback to improve our content.